I also thought that I'd be able to wear this if I kept it pulled down off my arms, because my forearms, if they stay cool, generally I'm gonna be okay. But no, even though it's been cool and I needed to wear that.
What fresh nightmare is this? I am not alive. This algorithm is mocking my life. I am trapped in digital hell.
Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. The sun is shining brightly outside, and it's supposed to get pretty hot again today. It got warm-ish up here, but all in all, because I kept the fans going and the lights off, it actually stayed not that bad. So hopefully I can do the same again today. And if it's warm where you are, hopefully you can stay cool as well. Hokey smokes. Oh boy. So yeah, yesterday I didn't get much done. Not at all. In fact, I fell into a gluten coma. My fault for eating products with gluten in them, isn't it? If I don't want to fall into a gluten coma, I sort of know what to do. And I'll talk about that in a moment, because front-loading of videos, hey, if you could toss me a like if you like what you hear and see, that'd be cool. If you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't, that too would be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, that would be very cool. I enjoy those quite a bit. I read them all. I push through my executive dysfunction to answer as many as I can. And of course, I'd like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons, these literally beautiful and literally awesome people who are, in fact, literally beautiful and literally awesome, helping to keep me and my pets alive. I know that they appreciate it. I know that I appreciate it. And if you would like to help me out so that me and my pets are not hosed like Christmas monkeys, that would be very cool. Definitely a thumbs up. Links are in the show more under the video. Thumbs up. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, there is a PayPal, and if you'd like to help me out without sending any money at all, there's an Amazon wishlist link with stuff like cat food on it. Yay! Oh, front-loading a video is over. Thumbs up for that. Yeah, I have at least a gluten intolerance. I may have celiac disease, and I can't stop deliberately eating things with wheat in them. And it's also in other grain products as well, but primarily, mostly in wheat. And they use wheat in a lot of things, and I can't stop eating some of these wheat products. I had some graham crackers yesterday, and I fell into a gluten coma. I also thought that I'd be able to wear this if I kept it pulled down off my arms, because my forearms, if they stay cool, generally I'm gonna be okay. But no, even though it's been cool and I needed to wear that, now that I'm moving and talking with the door shut, hokey smokes, it's warming up quickly in here. So yeah, I went and ate some glutinous products yesterday, and that was joyous, because I have one of the side effects of I get sleepy, and after I wake up, I have a lot of brain fog. But because it's a glutinous coma type thing, it's not a coma, I just use that as a funny word. When I'm walking on the rails of life and the train of gluten coma sleep comes rushing up behind me, by the time I can feel the rails rumbling underneath my feet, I am no longer able to make any sort of critical decisions. It is like, in my stories, I talk about a Dunning field where you are unable to make critical decisions. It's like I have my own personal Dunning field, forced created by eating gluten. I am no longer able to make critical decisions, no matter how many times it's happened in the past, no matter how many times I know I shouldn't do it. When it happens, I'm unable to go, 2 plus 2 equals 4. And it's like, 2 plus what equals, what was I doing again? And so I get myself comfortable slouching in my chair, and then I watch videos and fall asleep. I might wake up enough to replay a video when I realize it's done and I haven't watched it because I was asleep. And that's bad, because I have not just sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is when you fall asleep Either you have a tissue issue where the tissues of your throat collapse and you stop breathing. That's why you snore. The tissues of your throat are collapsing and you're having to force air through the collapsed throat. Well, it can happen hard enough that you literally cannot breathe for quite a time. I don't have that. Unfortunately, I have what's called central apnea, where my brain just literally forgets to tell my lungs to breathe. And it doesn't just happen when I'm sleeping. I will occasionally have times where I'll notice I have stopped breathing, and I have to manually take over for less than a minute, but if I don't think about it and breathe on my own, I don't breathe. So yeah, when I fall asleep, I'm not awake and able to go, oh, I need to take over. No, I just stop breathing. And when I wake up, well, my fingers are tingling and my ears are really ringing loudly. And sometimes I got a headache because that's a tremendous strain on your heart, lungs, and brain to not breathe for quite some time. Sure, if you hold your breath, if you've super oxygenated, hyperventilated before you hold your breath, and then you hold your breath for a minute, that's different. You're super oxygenated. You can do that. But when you breathe outward after just breathing lightly, and then you don't breathe anymore, that ain't so good. Thumbs up for that. Still though, I survived. I didn't do much yesterday, unfortunately. I watched videos. I didn't even really play any games. And then I went for walkies up to Walmart and back, and there you go. I tried to be as creative as I could while I was out on walkies, thinking about various things, but it wasn't a very useful day. But not every day do you have to try and do anything. There are days that it's okay to just relax and don't do anything. And yesterday was one of those days. Likely today is going to be another one. Though there are some things I would like to get done. If I don't, life is life. It's a weekend. So, yay. So hopefully you're going to get done what you'd like to get done. And if not, enjoy the day. Past that, taking a look on my list. One of the things I wanted to talk about is how disappointed I am in people, but on one way it's not their fault. Unfortunately, for the past 50 years in the United States, one political party has been anti-education because people that aren't educated are very easy to manipulate. And right now, the Republican Party in the United States is very anti-education. They are actively saying going to college is bad because people become liberals and Democrats, and you don't want your child to become a Democrat. Higher education is bad. And people with no education are very easy to manipulate. Take a look over the past stuff that's happened in the United States, where you had people insisting that they had become magnetic because they got a vaccine. And they would stick a coin or a key to themselves when it was just, you didn't wash your face before you did it. You're not magnetic, you're greasy. Oh boy. So anti-science in the United States for the past 50 years has reached a fever pitch, and I, as stated, am very disappointed because when I was a kid, I took a vaccination for polio. Polio was and is a horrible disease, paralyzes you, where you need machines to help you breathe. Your life becomes laying on your back with a machine helping you breathe, and that's your life until you die. I dealt with people in healthcare where they were from previous generations where they had paralyzed limbs because of polio. Because we took vaccinations, polio has been gone for decades. We almost successfully wiped it out. And anti-vaxxing has gotten so bad, somebody on the eastern coast of the United States has polio. And they have found active polio viruses in 7 locations around that area. in public waters. Polio is set to come roaring back. Yeah, I love people that are anti-education. But on another point that's not as horrible, one of the things I wanted to talk about is, in a minor way, anti-humor and all this. I find anti-humor very funny. And anti-humor is stuff that's not funny. But it's not like looking in the news and finding something that's not funny and laughing at it. No. This is people that create something that is deliberately not funny, taking comic strips and rewriting the dialogue so that it's not funny, making memes and such that are deliberately not funny. And because these things aren't funny, that's why they're funny. And the less funny something is, the more funny it can be, which is a really weird concept. A lot of the things I've laughed at my whole life has already been stuff like that. I've mentioned how I was already involved in pre-internet culture, because there have been, ever since the dawn of printing, and they don't really exist anymore now because physical print is going away hard and fast, but there were things called APAs, Amateur Press Associations. What this was is you would have a central mailer, a person that everyone would send their stuff to. You would write a zine where you did stuff, whether it was comics or writing, poetry, whatever, that could go onto a page. And then you made X number of copies of that zine, however many members there were, plus a requirement, and then you sent that off to the central mailer. The central mailer stapled it all together into a book after collating it all into a book, and then each member got a copy of that book. And then they would read all the zines from the people that were members and enjoy it that way. But you also did something called Ego Boo, where you went through and you commented on what the people that had done last issue had done and what you felt about it. Kind of like video comments. And so a lot of people who were talented at writing or talented at drawing or talented at putting clip art together would do a lot of the stuff that we see now. Memes and weird stuff, static, one color, in print in a book, but this was internet culture. And yeah, there was people that did anti-humor and all sorts of stuff. And it's not like these things were just useless stuff. If you were into comic books, a lot of people who were very influential in, admitted, minor comics and minor companies came out of these APAs. I was friends with, if you've ever read any like Dark Horse comics from the 90s and such, Mark Verheiden. I knew him when I was young. I was in an APA with him. I went and visited him. A friend of mine, like 10 years after that, I mentioned I knew Mark Verheiden. He went to a comic book signing, mentioned my name to test it, and the guy said, "Oh, you know Bill Robin? Hey, we should go out for coffee after this." So yeah, APAs were cool. And if you've ever seen the comic book Concrete by Paul Chadwick came out of the APAs as well. So thumbs up on that. So pre-internet culture, I'm already predisposed towards stuff like the anti-humor memes. So thumbs up, anti-humor for the win. The big thing about the cryptid stuff that I've been working on is still with, I've mentioned how there's the song Going Under by Devo, and I have been fascinated by that as somebody who's been introduced to a subculture and is just going down. They're going into it, they're fully into it, and they're never going to come back up for air. What that would feel like for somebody whose cryptid sense becomes a cryptid vision when it fully clicks on, and it's pretty strong, so they can see everything around them. And just like someone with the sight on the whole inside outside, your vision gives you 10% more on all of your senses. So you see more, you feel more, and he feels stoned. And it feels good mentally and physically. So as he's wandering around, he actually comes across a werewolf who's just sitting on a park bench and just watching people go by. And they have a little chat where the werewolf talks about cryptids, congratulates them on having their cryptid vision click on, welcome to the real world, and lets them know that they're lucky, because if they'd come by just 2 minutes earlier, well, it would have been them inside their belly, because they like to sit back and digest a big meal after eating someone and just watch the world go by. Also tells him that he should head to, as a new person, to Pol Pot Park. Now, I'd mentioned yesterday how there's a place that's semi-abandoned, and there's a rotting abandoned mansion in there from decades back. The land is being taken care of by a trust and a fund. It's being left to rot. Bad things happened there. So bad, there was so much blood, so much pain, so much suffering, and so much death that there is a presence underneath the mansion. It is not alive, but it's present there. And everyone who's got any cryptid sense can see the pulsing lights and hear the sound coming from the mansion in Pol Pot Park. It's really just the McGregor place, the McGregor estate. But so many people have died there and continue to die there. They just call it informally, all the cryptids, Pol Pot Park. And if you ever take a look at history, Google Pol Pot and how many millions of people died at that time. And the people, they will congregate there. So this fellow ends up wandering up and is told about how the presence has to be fed, but it's fed those that won't be missed, which is largely all cryptids, but in practice that means less powerful cryptids are fed to the presence. And also among just normal human beings, those that have slipped between the cracks, the unwanted, the unnoticed, the unmissed, the homeless, the addicts, people that have slipped through the cracks. So if you're a normal human being, whether you have the sight or not, don't slip through the cracks. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. Going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And even though I count American Sign Language, well, you've already seen how my brain works. Let me call it my Chrome. We have Horror Files. Thumbs up and thank you very much. Good to see you in the comments. JAYY. Good to see you in the comments as well. Definitely a thumbs up. Jesse Koskinen. Greatly appreciated. And again, it is good to see you in the comments, my friend. Definitely a thumbs up, and hopefully it stays not too hot and not too rainy. We have Max DEKUDESS. There is Caleb R. Thank you very much for the info. That does help. There is Sparkblat. Greatly appreciated. And Ravinian. I am sorry that you've had to deal with what you've had to deal with. I'm glad you are feeling better, and I hope you continue to do so. We have Ben B. Always good to see you in the comments. And then that is it. 8 people in the last 24 hours that left me comments. Thumbs up. It doesn't matter how many people leave me comments, as long as it's more than 0. It is appreciated. You get me out of my head, into the world, dealing with real people, if only in text, and if only for a short time. Definitely a thumbs up on that. So yeah, again, I'm going to take it easy today. I'm going to hopefully play some video games, since I didn't yesterday, and so, hopefully, if you got stuff you'd like to get done, you can get it done. And if not, take it easy, relax, thumbs up. And of course, with the pandemics and such still raging, spikes in the United States, please just be safe, be smart, take the appropriate precautions. Don't toss your own body or anyone else's body onto the end-of-life corpse pile before you have to. So, until we meet again, You take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.